success journeys of the elite and learn about the pivotal moments and decisions that shaped their paths to prominence. I'm your host, Nancy Erickson. I work with high net worth individuals, CEOs, and business leaders, and I give them a white glove, really hands on experience to write, edit, publish, market, and distribute their books worldwide. I'm the owner of Stonebrook Publishing, an award winning publishing house that publishes nonfiction works. So today, my esteemed guest is Anson Sobey. And I was really excited to have him on. And here are some reasons why. Over the last 20 years, Anson has been a video game developer, a toy designer, a blogger, platform maker, and an ad agency co-founder. But first, he started in the mailroom where all Hollywood dreams are made. Fresh out of art school and then USC business, Anson's first job entailed delivering mail on the Universal Studios backlot. That must have been a lot of fun. Within a few months, he managed to join Universal's Young Video Games division as a member of their product marketing team. He then shifted gears and joined the toy industry at Jakks Pacific, where he led the interactive toy division to achieve almost $1 billion in revenue. So that's what he's got in his pocket right now, right, Anson? Seeing the new opportunity of marketing via the blogosphere, he co-founded the blogger marketing platform Rocket XL. As one of the first pure play blogger offerings, Rocket XL grew to 5 offices across 3 countries before Anson and his 2 partners sold the firm in 2008 to Cossette Canada. Most recently, Anson teamed up with Philip Kosid and co-founded Battery, honored as a 3-time ad agency of the year, picking up awards for global campaigns such as Netflix as a Joke, EA Games, Land O'Lakes, and Lego. Anson and Philip sold a stake in the agent to Havas in 2019. And I feel like I've pronounced, is it Havas?
You got it. You're pronouncing everything perfectly. Okay. I'm impressed.
Because I thought I accidentally said Hamas, and that's not it.
That is correct. That is not it.
It is Havas. So, Anson, welcome. I'm so happy to have you as my guest today.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah. So, gosh, you have such a rich and varied background, and so I just want to know, how did you ever get a job at Universal Studios delivering mail? Because that had to be really fun.
It was so much fun. It didn't pay very well, but I was a college student, but it was so fun. Yeah, I was in business school at USC, and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to intern for the summer. And I thought, well, it'd be interesting to get my foot in the door of a big company that has a lot of different types of business units and different lines of products, and then maybe that'll give me multiple options. So I started at Universal thinking, all right, maybe I go into music, maybe film, maybe theme park, maybe this, maybe that. And literally
you were gifted in all these areas?
No, I was not. I needed to figure out where I was gifted, and ironically, the mailroom was the way in because I was connected to all those different divisions. And it's from that I went into video games.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Tell us about your growing up years. Where were you from, and what was your family life like?
Yeah, so I originally grew up in Los Angeles and then moved to Utah as a kid. So I was raised Mormon, and I went to Brigham Young University in Utah. And so very different. I went to arts high school in Hollywood, and then undergrad at BYU, and then served my Mormon mission. So it was.
Where'd you go on your mission?
I went to Brazil. I went to São Paulo, Brazil. Yeah.
Wow. So. You went to Brigham Young, and then you moved to LA. Is that right?
I did. Yeah. Then
grad school at USC.
Correct. Yeah. Then I went to business school at USC. Exactly.
You have some pretty impressive alma maters. Those are great schools. So while in college, you delivered mail, probably in a golf cart, right? Did I hear? I think you told me that before. And so what came next?
So Universal was starting a young video game division. It was only, I think, 7 or 8 people at the time. I found it to be a really great mix of creativity, technology, storytelling, which at that time a little bit of geeky nerdiness to it. The video
Yeah.
game industry
Were
is
you?
so mainstream now, but back
Yeah.
then it wasn't quite as mainstream.
Well, were you developing video games?
So I was on the marketing side.
Oh, the
I
marketing
wasn't
side.
smart enough to develop them, but I was smart enough to market them.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Well, you know what? People kind of in my generation we didn't have video games, right? When we were growing up, or we had Pong or some else or Pac-Man, but video games are so intricate now. And in fact, they used video gamers to help reconstruct the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris because they had so often played some game that had mapped out the whole cathedral. And I just thought that was a little bit of a redeeming value for gamers, that they were part of that whole reconstruction, which is supposed to be finished pretty soon here. So yeah. So how do you market video games? It's not B2C, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, so back then we were turning Universal properties into video games, right? So the Mummy Returns video game, Fast and the Furious video game, Woody Woodpecker, taking these huge global properties and trying to turn them into a video game. And, obviously starting with the audiences of those
they
big
already had the
properties at
platform,
Universal.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And then turning them into games. And now, games have transitioned from discs I go buy at Walmart and Target to fully downloadable digital experiences that so many games now are a live everyday social experience compared to back then. Most of the time you would play alone with kind of your mission and what you were supposed to do based on a disc, and now it's just a complete social immersive experience.
It's a whole different world, kind of immersive. And I mean, and something that you can really get sucked into as well. I understand that's one of our new opportunities for addiction. So anyway, but so how long did you do that, and what did you enjoy about it?
I enjoyed that. So I loved it that at that time in the entertainment industry, we were, we were the freshmen on the high school campus, right? Because music and theatrical and TV and home video just dwarfed video games. And video games were still a bit of a young, up and comer. And it's been amazing to see video games now top all of those forms of entertainment since then. So, we were definitely treated like the freshmen on campus by all the high school seniors. So it was fun to, fight above our weight. And just the technology was, as it does now, it was just changing every day.
Yeah. What is the demographic for video games?
It really depends on the game. It's amazing though, as an industry overall, it's a really even split of men and women, boys and girls. Obviously some games, skew more and others. Some games are younger, some games are older, but it really depends on the games. But as a whole, it's unbelievable. It really is a, age 4 or 5 up to age 45.
I know
55.
that because I've seen children that young getting excited about getting to the next level in whatever a jumping game or something like that, which is so different from those full immersion games. So do people use what is it called? They have a headset on and the glasses that they're like in the middle of the game.
Like VR?
VR, that's what it is. Yeah. That would make it, that would make it really cool. So, and then, so you did that for how long? Marketing video
games? I was at Universal for about a few years. Before then, I moved to the toy industry at Jax specifically.
That's what I'm interested in here. Tell us about, were you a toy maker or a toy marketer?
Yeah, a little bit of both. A marketer in toys is equal parts product as it is just, marketing. And that was a bit of a shift for me of, really dealing with what types of toys we were going to make. And at Jax, at that time, it was very entertainment property driven. So all the WWE toys, Nickelodeon, Disney, everything from preschool to tween. So, similar to Universal, it was taking major entertainment properties and figuring out what's the action figure, what's the software, what's the plush, how to turn these entertainment properties into toys.
So did you always do that from the US? Were you always based here?
Yeah, so with Jaxo, all of our manufacturing, was done in China, and the headquarters of the company. So all the sales were in New York, and then product development and marketing were in LA, and then all the development was in Asia, and then a lot of the distribution was, Europe and Latin America. So it was a truly global business. I mean, when you're dealing with, when you're dealing with SpongeBob and Disney Princess, it's truly a global thing.
Yeah, and what a great way to learn international business and the different just ways of doing things and supply chain and all that kind of stuff that goes into it. Because all of our businesses are global now. Maybe not all of them. There's a lot of local stuff still, but it's a whole different world. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you start out with digital marketing in your marketing career, or was it print, ad, that type of stuff?
Yeah, it was really more traditional TV, TV. Broadcast, print, especially with toys. Back then it was very, very, very heavy TV, either co-viewing, whether it was a preschool toy of co-viewing with parents, or if it was a teen, like a WWE, teen, action figure. But it was very, very TV focused back then. And especially internationally, it was even more so. Digital marketing and bloggers and influence was starting to play, and that's how I found the opportunity to move into the next company. Which was the blogosphere, because we were starting to see that the power, and this was 2005, 2006, that the power of online influencers. And at that time, the industry would refer to them as mommy bloggers, which thank heaven we don't use that terminology anymore. But that was in terms of, marketing, especially preschool toys, because it's such an interesting thing. You don't market to the user of that product. I'm not trying to market to a 4-year-old child, obviously. I'm marketing to their parents.
The parents are,
right? Exactly. And it was expensive to advertise on parents' TV, so you'd end up advertising in Blue's Clues and Disney and Nickelodeon, but it was becoming less and less effective. So we saw the rise in online influencers again. Back then it was primarily bloggers as a new means of marketing to parents.
Yeah, so tell us about when you made that switch. Is that where you became an entrepreneur and went from working for somebody to creating your own product?
Yeah, it really is. Universal, because we were only a team of 8, then went to a team of about 300 within a couple of years. I was able to see, even though I didn't understand everything that was going on, I was able to see that just incredible rapid growth and entrepreneurial growth. And then at Jax, I was lucky enough to report to the 2 founders who had built this, multi-$100 million company that, grew so fast out of nothing. And I was able to see how they worked. And that definitely rubbed off on me. And I saw the opportunity of the blogosphere. And I said to the founder, I said, hey, I'm going to go pursue this blogosphere thing, because I think there's a there. And I think this is something, and the idea came out of toys. And then at Rocket Excel, we found actually a lot of success with Unilever and Procter & Gamble. So Dove was a big client, and Old Spice and Tide, using the power of bloggers to market products.
So were they bloggers who were they like paid to blog about this, or did they put ads on bloggers' platforms? Or, how does that work?
Yeah, so that was when we started Rocket Excel. That was before the requirement of hashtag ad, or that bloggers needed to identify this was an ad. So it was more akin to PR. So we weren't paying these bloggers. We were literally sending them the latest Dove product and telling them about the campaign for real beauty and having them blog, and obviously Dove is a lot easier than some products just because of the great message and the
Well,
mission
they're
behind it.
so established. Yeah.
Right, right. So yeah, a lot of these bloggers just couldn't believe we were even contacting them on behalf of Old Spice and Unilever. So in the beginning of days, we weren't paying them because it was more PR focused.
Yeah. So, and did you place ads on their blogs, or had that come into being yet?
Yeah, then so that we pivoted as the years went on to then develop essentially back then what we called widgets. So there were widgets that would be embedded on a blog, and we were able to push content and push ads and things like that onto a blogger's page when they do a post about Dove's, self-esteem fund. And we're able to push content to them through these embeddable widgets that sat on their blogs. That's not how it happens anymore.
Things have really changed
Yeah.
so rapidly in the 2000s that, of course, we're now a quarter of a century almost into this, century. And so it's been a number of years since we went all totally online and all. So, and you were like a pioneer in that, because if you have a product, as you know, things don't sell themselves, and you can have the best product in the world, and if nobody knows about it, it's just been a waste of your time. So so what are you doing now, and how did you get into it?
So after we sold Rocket, I saw an opportunity back into games. So at that time, and this was about 10 years ago when I started Battery with Phil Kosid, my co-founder. So video games were starting to shift from, like I was saying, discs that you would buy at Target and Walmart to a fully 100% digital experience. So we saw the need to change the way video games are marketed, because previously video games were marketed like a movie. You're trying to drive as many sales as you can at Target before they either discount your game or before the next game takes literally the physical shelf space, from your disc. And then as games were moving, so we saw it was more, we needed to change the model from theatrical to more like P&G. Everything I'd learned at P&G, how to market a razor blade, an evergreen CPG product. So we started Battery originally as a video games agency to change the way games were marketed, again, from theatrical movies or products to consumer packaged goods. So that was the genesis of Battery.
So so what is your mission at Battery?
So it's to create advertising that's as sought after as entertainment. So even though we started in video games, we then understood the gamer, we understood the youth market, and we were able to move into banking, because a gamer also banks, a gamer also drinks beverages, a gamer also does this. So we moved into a lot of different categories: food, banking, etc. But where it all comes back to is, infusing the consumer packaged good classic marketing that I learned at P&G, infusing Hollywood storytelling, but with a Silicon Valley work style, meaning moving fast and breaking things and pivoting and always be learning. So that's where that advertising is sought after as entertainment, is whether it's butter or banking or tequila, it has to be compelling in the same vein as entertainment.
But so how do you do that? Like let's say butter, okay? Or let's say margarine, whatever. Two different things. I totally understand that. What do you do to make that entertaining and storytelling?
Yeah, so it goes back to the mission of that company. Like with Land O'Lakes butter, we're lucky to work with them. Is that they're
you
a farmer?
Work with them, yeah.
We do, yeah. So Land O'Lakes is a farmer-owned co-op that, number one, a lot of people don't know they're a farmer-owned co-op, and a lot of people don't really understand what does that mean. Well, literally, they aren't publicly traded. 1,100 farmers actually own the company. So they have a mission in terms of, 1% of the country feeds 100%, meaning 1% is rural America. So they have a great message in terms of how these farmers own Land O'Lakes and how the product is made, and educating America on what happens in these rural communities. So we're lucky to have that mission, and it's about pushing that mission, that true story, because we all get the stories of farm to table, and the farmer waking up before sunrise, and it's almost like we've grown a bit uh, uh,
a little wizened to it. Yeah.
Wizened to it. Yes, yes. And so, but they have this incredible business model. So it's about leaning into that model and how that impacts the bread, or rather the butter that you're spreading on your.
It's interesting about it being a co-op, because we always hear about how the small farmer has been squeezed out by industrial farms and stuff like that. But even a small dairy farmer can have a lot going on and a lot of production. Yeah. So well, is this the kind of ad where I've seen where they're not exactly trying to sell you something, but they're kind of educating you on what they are, and it's more of a branding type thing than a sales mechanism? Or do I have that wrong?
No, exactly. Because we feel with Land O'Lakes specifically, the real message is their dairy farmers and what goes into the product, and how, and you'd be amazed how sophisticated, and big and impactful these farms are on the economy. And it's really educating the consumer on how it works and how the farmers own the brand. And so the platform is eat it like you own it, because 1,100 farmer owners do, right? So it's like leaning into the butter and leaning into the cheese and the dairy, but that message of why it matters that farmers actually own the brand versus being publicly traded or privately owned.
And you know what? Just you saying that I can feel that there's a difference there. It kind of indicates more TLC going into the whole operation. So I want to ask you something. You had a global campaign for Netflix is a joke. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. So Netflix came to us a few years ago, and they wanted to launch stand-up comedy. And at that time, they were primarily known for dramatic originals, right? Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, House of Cards, and they weren't really known for comedic originals. So we had a crazy idea. I still can't believe they went for it, and the brand still continues to grow, ever since then. We had an idea for Netflix to be, self-deprecating and to actually do something that was compelling and stand out. And so we essentially launched the campaign with billboards, and all they said in black and white font was "Netflix is a joke." There was no logo. There was nothing about Seinfeld and Ellen DeGeneres and Chris Rock. It was just these billboards. And it started this social media frenzy of who's behind this. Is this a smear campaign?
Is this a slam against Netflix or what?
Right. And Netflix was so smart. They just kept their mouths shut, didn't do any PR, just let it kind of sit out there in the ether,
but it's top of mind. Everybody's buzzing about it. Yeah.
Yes. And then overnight, the billboards changed, and you saw Jerry Seinfeld, Netflix is a joke. Chris Rock, Netflix is a joke. And they premiered our commercials via the Emmys when all these serious originals were nominated, and Netflix wanted to flip the script and show they were now about comedy. So since then, Netflix has a Netflix is a Joke Sirius satellite channel. They have the Netflix is a Joke
that's so cool.
Comedy Festival, all their social handles. It's been amazing to see where Netflix has taken, which was originally an idea.
Did you go to them with that idea?
Did what?
Did you go to them with that idea, or did they come up with that?
I wish we could have seen 6 years into the future. We had no idea where it would go. The original idea was just a billboard idea, and then it turned into a campaign, and then it became a tagline, and then it really just truly organically grew and mushroomed over time. And I give all that credit to Netflix. We could not have seen 6 years, 7 years in the future, and it's been amazing how it's just organically grown.
Well, and they had to have the funding to back something like that and to make it grow too. But you can't do that if you don't have an idea. So you guys won an award for that campaign, Anson? Is that right?
Yeah, we did. We won a few Cannes Lions at the Cannes Festival, and a lot of different ad industry awards. Yeah, it was a very fun campaign.
Yeah. So if you would say like who your ideal customer is, who are you all mainly trying to serve? Or maybe you don't have, maybe you're like a wheel and you have slices of demographic customers.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely industries we're strong in. We're not, I'd love to say we do everything, but we do not do everything
Nobody
well.
does everything.
No, nobody
No.
does. You know,
Yeah.
we've found that we do well in, you know, entertainment, video games, food, financial services, you know, which are very, very big categories. Sports, I'd say, is that fifth category, and we do really well in those.
What's left? What isn't in those categories?
I'm sure there's a lot left, and you know, we really do well when, not to say that every brand has a true mission behind it, like a Land O'Lakes, but when a brand does have a real differentiated product and has something to say, and I know it's cliche, but being a service-based company, we're only as good as the collaboration. And that's why we use that Silicon Valley term, that it's got to be this deep integration. It's not just about technology and data, it's about really that deep integration. Sometimes it works great with agencies and clients, and sometimes it doesn't. And our best, you know, the Netflixes and the Land O'Lakes and video games, it's when we're just really joined at the hip. Doesn't mean we don't argue sometimes and not get along and have different points of view.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
it's like in those situations, 1 + 1 is 3. You know, because you get all your creative juices going and all. So, well, invariably in business, anybody who's been in business for a number of years have had some pivotal moments where things could have gone wrong in the wrong direction. Did you ever have any moments like that?
Oh, how long do we have? Do we have 7 hours? There were a lot of, you know, I think the biggest thing I've learned in being an entrepreneur is to slow down. I don't know why, but I have this little internal motor that I think fast is always good. And wow, fast is usually not good. But for some reason, I had that ingrained. I have to constantly tell myself, stop, pause, ask questions, slow down. So my greatest mistakes was, number one, where I was going too fast, and number two, where I stupidly thought I could do it myself. I mean, that is the most amount, the hubris and
I
the
think
pride.
that is the number one offender in entrepreneurs. It's like, and you probably can do it yourself. You know, you can learn and do it, but that means you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else to grow your business or to even empower other people who are working with you.
Yeah, and the power of a co-founder, like my co-founder Phil, and the power of advisors, and just listening to employees. We like to steal the phrase from Microsoft's CEO and say, "Don't be don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all." Right? Just that learning mindset. That Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly, that learning mindset. And I think it does come from, at least for me personally, of slowing down and pausing, which is so tough for me to do. I'm still.
Well, I think so. For most entrepreneurs, we're high energy, right? And we have like these ideas, and unfortunately, we keep getting ideas, you know. And you have to really focus and find the thing that you're going to sit on and excel at, and keep doing that over and over and over again. And so, but when you're starting something, you do feel this urgency to hurry up, you know, and get it, you know, in a, you know, whether a proof of concept or start making some revenue or that type of thing. So how did you and your co-founder find each other?
So we met through, Rocket Excel, the previous company, when we sold to Cossette in Canada, the holding company, Phil was one of the leaders at Cossette in Toronto. And we had just business fell in love with each other. And I saw so many things in him that I didn't have, and so many abilities that I didn't have. And I wished I had. And we started working together at Rocket, and then he had experience in video games, I had experience in video games, and we both had this idea for Battery and started together. But we met each other via, Rocket and its parent company. So he moved down to the US with his family from Toronto, and we started Battery in LA.
That was so nice of them to come to California instead of asking you to go to Canada. a little colder up there.
He now loves the beach and just
I bet. Yeah.
he's embraced the California lifestyle.
So how'd you come up with the name Battery?
So Battery was originally going back to my point earlier, it was my nickname as a kid because I always moved so quickly. They called me a rechargeable battery that didn't need to be recharged. So my nickname as a kid was Battery.
Oh, that
and
is, so, I love that.
Yeah, we thought it was a nice, name for a company, but it also speaks to my weakness. So,
well, that's great. So you guys, so how do you feel like you're using your influence to impact the world, Anson?
I'll go back to one more mistake. When we started Battery, because we're a service-based company, I thought the clients were the most important because if the clients don't pay, we can't pay for rent, we can't pay for payroll, there's no revenue. It's all about the client, the client, the client. He helped me see, no dummy, it's about our team. It's about the employees because without a great team, we're going to be nothing as a company. So I feel like the best thing I can do is pass on my learnings from mistakes so that hopefully our team either, doesn't make the same mistakes I did or figures out their mistakes quicker than I did. And I try to constantly tell people about the mistakes I've made or the things I'm working on, whether it's mental health, whether it's slowing down, whether it's learning. And, I just feel like we are definitely in a different age now. I don't remember people talking about this 20 years ago. And I feel like I think young people coming into the companies are they're at such a great place to take advantage of this. And I feel like I have to try to.
Well, so now you're talking about leadership, right? So, are your employees young? Well, millennials aren't that young anymore. They're up to 40, right? Years old. But what's the demographic or age range of your employee set?
Yeah, it's from, young 20s, graduating college up to 50s.
Oh, okay.
And we'll have a couple of college interns this summer, so that's going to lower our average age. But it's a real mix. It's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, single out of college to married with multiple kids to divorced to this and that. It's a wide range.
Yeah, the whole gamut. So, your leadership influence. How do you feel like you're helping your employees to grow through being employed by you?
I sure hope so. Maybe you should ask them that question. I figure the best thing I can do is be educating myself and talking to them about my mistakes, but also that pausing, slowing down and asking them.
That vulnerability is a big deal. I mean, it used to be the people who were owners were, tell you what to do and you do it. Now it's more they're vulnerable and they try to draw the best out of you so you can offer your best back to them. So it's definitely a different game. Like you said, you did 20 years ago, people weren't talking about this stuff. You just had a job, and you did the job. There wasn't very much room for creativity in some jobs. So, well, I have loved talking to you. I love your journey and the different things you do. But to wrap it up, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions to help the audience get to know you in a different way. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, coffee, coffee.
Summer or winter?
Oh, God. Both.
Yeah. Okay. Netflix or a movie theater?
Oh, I got to say Netflix. They're a client.
Yeah. Okay. Casual night in or fancy night out?
Oh, casual night in.
Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Yeah. Okay. So you have told us a whole lot of incredible talents you have, like you didn't know if you were going to music or film or what is something you cannot do?
Oh, I am really not good at math.
Good.
I'm deep involved in our finances. I can do accounting, but not good math. And I say that because my son is 15 and is in trigonometry.
Help him.
Oh my gosh, I'm of no use. Zero use.
Oh, Well, I'm with you there. I do words, not numbers. So anyway, okay. So, Anson, where can our audience find you if they want to connect and learn more?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best place. I
Okay.
love that platform.
Yep, great. Well, thank you for your time, Anson, and to our audience for your attention. If you or someone you know wants to write a book, you can find my contact information in my LinkedIn profile, and there's a link up there to schedule a strategy session with me. Thanks for joining us. You've been watching Masters of Influence with your host, Nancy Erickson. We'll see you next time.